Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Only Land Fan Show. My name is Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is Robin Seib. At 36 years old, Robin Seib's career trajectory is as fascinating as his global footprint. Robin's entrepreneurial journey began early. Armed with an economics degree, he launched his first venture at just 21 years old. Over the past 15 years, he's immersed himself in various facets of real estate, from construction to financing, successfully founding 8 companies along the way. Driven by a desire for location independence, Robin discovered land flipping. In a bold move, he entered the US market in 2020, despite having no prior experience in the country. Since then, he's impressively closed around 350 land deals. Robin's story exemplifies the power of adaptability and perseverance in the face of adversity. Robin, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm super happy, right? Because you made me 2 years younger than I'm actually, right? I'm 38 meanwhile. And I think I've been on in this show, I think 2 years ago on the day I was researching that when you launched that. I was like one of your like under the first 10 guests or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
probably since then, you like made an amazing thing here, right? We need to say thank you to you. Only Land Fans is a brand, man. There is nothing else out there in the land space like this one. I really love that, man. Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
that.
I'm just so glad to have you on and have incredible guests. And the Lane community has just been absolutely amazing. The people that make up the Lane community are really special. So I'm very excited that I get to work on this platform and meet and interview incredible people like you. So today we are talking about land dispositions in 2024, what to do to succeed. So I know that you've been on our show before. Can you give us a little bit of your background for those who are listening that may not know exactly who you are and what you've done? If you give us a little bit of your background.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm super happy that we met recently in Denver, right? We connected instantly, and it was like so much fun seeing you there. So, hey guys, I'm Robin Seib, 38 years old, right? Born and raised in Germany. And actually, I'm married to my wife, Mara Christine, which is from California. And we have a beautiful 5 months old daughter, Catriella, which gives us a little bit of sleep, actually, which is great, right? We live in Spain, in Mallorca, in the beautiful island of Mallorca, where I'm right now. It's 1 a.m. at night here. It's like pretty cool, right? That's a life I chose. But I was super excited when we talked about, or you came to me and said, okay, let's talk about land dispositions because this is my land journey, right? I started 2020. I went through Jack Bosch's program because he's German too, right? And he introduced me to land flipping. I had never been in the country. I had no clue what was going on, right? I was totally naive, and hey, I needed a year to do my first deal. And I was so happy when I got it done. And I made exactly $0 profit because I did everything wrong after a year, what you can do wrong, right? 3 parcels, all at JKN on 3 contracts with the buyer and with the seller. So I played like 6 times closing costs. And like the title company wanted to have $65 in the end from me. I just called them and said, hey, I worked this deal for you. So I made $1 in profit. So the $0 was a lie. They gave me a $66 discount, right? But from that on, man, it was quite a journey. Like 2021 is 60 deals and then over 300 in 2022. And now it's 2024 and we cracked, I think, the 1,000 deal mark like 1 or 2 months ago. Like 1,000 transactions we've been involved in multiple capacities. And I early specialized. I don't like the acquisition game, right? A lot of people love the acquisition game and texting and mailing and all that. So I was like, how can you avoid that? Because we don't have really direct mail and all this here in Europe. So I specialize in buying packages. So and the first package I bought, right? This is a wild story. So I did a lot of first things in this first package I bought. First of all, it was 144 lots in 24 counties in Florida, right? That was the package. It was the first time I ever raised private money on something. So like that was the first too, right? And it was the first time that I sit on over 100 lots in inventory that I needed to sell. And that became the story of my land flipping career. It's like building disposition strategies. How can you sell lots? What can you do? And I think we became pretty good specialists in that. And yeah, always are on top of the things. Meanwhile, we still do acquisitions. We still buy packages. We have a development company where we do development deals, entitlements, and subdivides. We run an own land fund where we buy notes and finance deals. And Of course, we have the land pilot where we help people with dispositions as a service. And so it's like quite a couple of things we do right now. And I love dispositions. And especially in the last year, I can tell you everything I learned before changed. So we went through a tough year, like reinventing the wheel, what is working, what is not working. And I tell you what, Kendall, and you probably noticed that because you do a bunch of deals too, right? It will even change more in the next year, right? And there are a couple of things why it will change. And we will talk today how you really build a scalable machine that works on a budget. I will tell you what you do with $0 in your pocket for dispositions, but I will also do when you like do more deals or bigger deals, like when you have $1,000 a month for dispo, or 3 or 5 or 10, what can you do and where would I invest my money? Where do we invest our money to really scale and be on top, right? And yeah, man, that's my story. I love land. I love being out there. I have a lot of friends. Like we currently like will buy a second house in Dallas, Texas. So hopefully we're gonna have some tacos and stuff in Austin, right? I heard you
Yeah.
have good tacos and good burgers. This is what my wife tells me. Yeah, man, this is what I hope. I just love life. I'm a water sports guy. I love to be outside. We just had actually friends here for 2 days from Australia, good friend, and he's a coach too. And we just had a lot of fun. And this is what I enjoy, just like being with good people like you, man.
I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned earlier that a lot of people in the land space focus on the acquisitions part of the whole deal, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people geek out on the texting and all of the tech to get these contracts. And then so often I've seen that people work so hard to get these contracts and then just post and pray. Like we just post and hope that someone will come along to buy.
Oh,
So
yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what are some of the most common mistakes that you see people making when it comes to dispositions of their land deals?
So the first thing is what we see all the time is deal evaluation, right? Like it's probably that with your students, it's like they look on a deal and we get the deals and they're just valued too high. Because people just think, hey, oh fuck, I buy it for 20, so it must be worth 30, or I buy it for 50, so it must be worth like 80. But the reality is it's just a bad buy. And this is what we see all the time right now in this market where we are. Like it's election year in the US. I learned that on my way the past 4 years. 4 years ago, I didn't know what election year means, but now I know it. But I had a conversation with land.com and with other big elite producers in that area. They all see a drop every 4 years. Second was that we always had a seller's market for 10 years, right? The market was going up and sellers were going with you, but buyers paid everything because they just wanted land. We're switched in a buyer's market with sellers not being aware that we are in a buyer's market, right? So this is the second thing. So I think the first thing is that, or the most common mistake is just really valuing that deal too high and making a wrong decision on taking a deal or let it go. Does that make sense? Because it's about the deal sourcing. Because the second mistake, or most of the people do, everybody tells you need money for mailers and cold calling and texting and I don't know, follow-ups and all that. But nobody tells you you need a budget for dispositions too. What we are in the end, we are like every wholesaler on itself, in my opinion, it like its own marketplace. And the marketplace lives from doing marketing to a seller and making marketing to a buyer, and you have the product in the middle that you move. But when you just budget on the one side, right, and just say, hey, I just do everything to get that contract or buy the contract or whatever I do, whatever the strategy is, how do I get rid of it? And this is the second thing, like really not having a budget on that end, not having a business plan on that. Does that make sense?
Totally. Now, can you talk a little bit about, I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned that sellers are not aware oftentimes that we are in a buyer's market. And this is something that I've spoken with a lot of people about recently, especially. So, can you talk a little bit about how do you personally educate the sellers that, hey, your property is not as worth as much as you think it is, or trying to educate them about where we actually are in this particular real estate cycle?
Okay, I do like theory right now because I actually don't do that. Like my team does that. And the reality is, um, most of the people think they send a piece of mail and they just do their numbers, and in the end they get a contract, right? But right now you need to do much more. And by the way, that's the same thing in dispositions too, right? You just need to do more to get results, right? Especially I do deals in Texas and in Florida personally. These are my only markets where I personally do deals because I love hard buyers markets, right? Because they are more buyers, people are moving there. So, but I think like when you position something, no matter if it's acquisitions or dispositions, you have three things you need to transport: value, scarcity, and urgency, right? It's like a triangle you have, right? So, and value is like, in this case, you need to show the disvalue of the property, right? What is not value, right? So that means a deep research. Like when you do the first offer or the second offer, just be a little bit more detailed. Figure out, is it in a flood zone? Does it have wetlands? What are the issues? Focus on that. What is, be like this guys, this engineers who control contractors. They get paid for that amount in the invoice in the end. They just like put the invoice down, right? Be like that guy, right? Found everything that speaks against that. And then, of course, I think the opportunities get less. We started where you probably need to send 400 or 500 pieces of mail to get a contract, right? Right now in hot markets, it's probably 3, 4, 5 times the amount of numbers, right? To get the right contract. So it's, you will need to wait your time even when you do the value argumentation. The second is when you talk to people, always try to take something away from them. This is what I learned, right? It's take the carrot and hold them in front of them that they follow like the nice carrot or whatever that is. And in the right moments, you always need to tell them like, hey, you know what? Like I can just buy like one more lot this month, right? I have cash flow for one more lot. We can put that on the plan, but that's it. We can make a deal now or you can leave it. And that builds urgency too. Urgency and scarcity always go really close together. And when you learn that game and like really devaluing their property, finding their why do they want to sell, and that aligns with your business model, how you build scarcity and urgency, right? Then I think you close deals. This is how we do that, right? It's like really, and I think we also need to think in these times about adjusting business models. Does that make sense? It was like a long time the age of double closings, which is good when you have a strong sellers market, you turn things around faster. As we sell a couple of hundred lots a year, we see sales cycles, and I can just tell you everything moves slower. Right. And even in Texas and Florida, it moves slower. Like even in Tampa or in Dallas, it moves slower in Austin. Right. And this is where you need to be prepared. Right. The more rural you are in your market, the more you are not in like one of the super hot states, the more you need to think, how can I change my business model a little bit too? Right. What do I mean by that? There are different options. You do subdivides. I know that, right? Like subdividing is one thing. It's value add through like taking something, splitting it up, and just create value like this. It can be working with hard money lenders, giving people not a 6 months close, giving them a 30 days or a 45 days close or a 14 days close, like on the closing table, say, hey, okay, you want that cash, right? I can make that happen in 40 days, in 30 days, 45 days, but you give me that price, right? It's a business model doing that, right? Or you can do, there's distressed properties, entitlements, and all of that. I think when you're in the position of being a land investor starting right now, you want to probably learn how to work with hard money lenders, right? And there are different types how you can do that with, when you're really new and unexperienced, probably you want to go in an equity partnership with somebody, explore that option, right? So it's like you bring the deal, they sell the deal and bring the money, and they take 50% of the profit and you get 50% for what? Bringing the deal, they take care, right? Or you say, hey, I'm seasoned, I know how to run the game, then work with somebody, pay them 15%, 16% interest a year, and just take ownership of the deal and work your disposition strategy and do that. I think right now it's, first of all, time to do more. And second of all, like just checking out, what is my business model? Is it a scalable business model? I personally believe we see them happening, but the amount of double closings gets less and less and less.
Very interesting. So you're seeing more people do less double closing, and they're doing more where it's traditional just buy and then turn around and flip. Is that right?
So this is what we see, right? What I see and where I think we see a lot of people still trying to do double closes, but we see contracts expiring because market circles are longer, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean? As an entrepreneur, you need to find strategies. How do I adjust? Does that make sense? How do I get in this new market? How do I react on that? And how do I change my strategy on that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, I know that the reason, or one of the main reasons why a lot of people like these double closes is because it really limits your risk, right? It limits your exposure to risk. You can just cancel the contract if it doesn't work or whatever it is. So you're not bringing a ton of money out of pocket using the end buyer's funds, all of that good stuff. But if you're saying that we are now in a market cycle where you're having to hold on to properties longer, and you may have just to be able to get properties in your inventory, you're going to have to close on them either using a hard money lender or a private lender or something like that, your exposure to risk goes way up in comparison to a double close. So, how would you mitigate that risk? What would be the advice that you have for people that say, hey, listen, I don't want to hold on to these properties forever? What are some dispo secrets that you can help us with in terms of moving these properties faster? Hey, land fans. Looking for your tribe of serious land investors? Join thousands of your fellow land lovers in the Only Land Fans Facebook group. We're talking real deals, expert strategies, and game-changing connections you won't find anywhere else. This isn't just another real estate group. This is the community where land investors come to level up. Join us at onlylandfansgroup.com and join the conversation today. That's onlylandfansgroup.com. See you there.
Okay, let me just relevate some things, right? I don't say move in that direction. It's just like a strategy you could follow, right?
Sure.
When you still want to do double closing, the only thing you need to do is more traffic on the acquisition end. So you need to roll more contracts, right? Like more outreach to get the same results like 2 years ago. But a reaction to that, when you don't want that, right? You need to spend money on that end, right? An alternative can be, for example, buying that lots. How do you mitigate risk? Interesting question. Two things. When you're new, find a private equity, like an equity partner, somebody who is experienced, who knows how to evaluate the deal. There are good guys out there, right? We know them all, like Chris Duff and Brad DeGraw and all that. They or Justin Sleever or whoever, right? They know how to do a deal. When you bring a deal with them, they will tell you it will work or will not work. And then you have a partner who brings the equity. When you do it by yourself, what I do, right? Hey, man, I just did so much wrong in the beginning, but it's all about you need to learn how to do due diligence, right? It's a new skill. You need to learn to do this business model. It's like the same when you do subdivides, right? Everybody's, oh, I do subdivides now. Yeah, hey, like subdivides is a complete different business model because you need to buy that property. You need to have your survey team, and you want to probably do that before you buy the property and then get the approvals. And you need to look for roads. And do I need to bring a road in or not? Is it enough? You need to learn a complete different skill set. And that's like with money lenders too. And I think the great thing about that is when you start building a network of private money lenders, when you're a little bit more seasoned and know how to do due diligence, you also will need a network of note buyers. We see a lot of properties, especially under $100,000. 80% of them go on owner financing at the moment. That's a reality too. You need to offer owner financing in this markets too, because people are sitting on their cash. They have cash. The people have money. I don't know if you have been in the mall in the past couple of weeks or at an airport. Everything is flooded and swamped, so people have money to spend, but they just think they don't have money to spend. This is what I see, but owner financing is a must. So really adding private money to your network is a must in these times, no matter what you do. If you do double closings too, when you double close with owner financing in the back end, imagine 80% more 80% of the transactions in our universe go on owner financing. That means when you don't offer owner financing, you have 80% less buyers, right? In a slower market. What does that mean? You even sell much slower, right? So you want to have an exit strategy for that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that you've developed different dispo strategies throughout your career. You've done over 1,000 land deals. So, what can you share with someone that is, let's say they're just getting started, they've got $0 for their marketing budget on the dispo side? What would you suggest that they do to dispo that property effectively?
First of all, always learn to make the decision if the deal in front of you is a deal. And that starts with the deal evaluation. We talked about that. We see a lot of people dispoing deals or coming to us too. And we have a deal that's worth 100. You can sell it probably for 100. You think that, and you have it under contract for 85. That's not a deal, right? Think about your acquisition costs, the closing costs, the costs for the agent. In the end, you get some revenue in your account, but you don't make any net profit, right? It's just, hey, an exchange of numbers and you pay on it. So really look that you get the right deals. The second of all is, I think what people, so there's two qualities of that. Make your deal ready to sell. This is like what I tell everybody. Why? In our space, we're in the land space, and you know that we do marketing strategies on people that own that land for forever and probably inherited that or are like, meanwhile, like the heirs of somebody. And land titles are generally with a really high percentage fucked up, right? Now, you can read like deeds and titles, and you have amazing AI today that can do that. What I would say, especially when you're a newbie, build a relationship with the title company, give them that title and do a title commitment. Like when I close tomorrow, what would happen? Because you have been in the situation, I'm pretty sure I've been there, when you shoot for a double closing, and that should always be the first option, right? We do a 45 days testing of a property, see how is it performing before we finally execute the purchase, right? So it's a 45 days. And in this 45 days, we clear the title, right? And we figure out, is the property sellable? And when the title is fucked up and you line up a double closing in that time, right? When you don't do that in the beginning, like really pulling a title commitment, then you stand on the closing table. You have probably your seller lined up, your buyer lined up, a buyer's agent lined up, maybe your agent lined up, a title company lined up, a hard money line, every transactional funder lined up, and maybe a note buyer lined up. And the transaction doesn't happen because you didn't do your homework, right? This is deal ready to sell. That also means one little thing. And I think when you have $0, the most important strategy you need to do is you need to find a good realtor in that area where you are, right? Build a relationship with a realtor. Most of the people don't want to do that because it's a lot of work. It means like getting on the phone, giving them something, maybe paying them a little bit to get their expertise because this is what you want. And it's hard. And what I see a lot of people, I don't know, you live in Florida and do deals in Washington State, that makes it hard too. I love to do deals in areas where I come frequently to have a look at lots, meet people, build relationship with a realtor. And that's like a process but like when you don't have budget, there's always a trade-off in business is what I learned. When you have money, you can spend less time. When you don't have money, you need to spend more time. That's the reality, right? So where I would really focus on is finding a good realtor, right? Building a relationship with this realtor, however you do that. And why don't people find realtors? Because they don't do their homework. Here are the two top things why realtors don't take contracts. The first thing is title is not clear. They are afraid that they can't sell a title. So when you pull a title commitment, you have that solved, right? Second one, contract doesn't have an earnest money deposit. There is no equity in the deal. So now you say, oh, earnest money deposit. Guys, we talk about anything from $1 plus, right? So technically our contracts have anything between $50 and $100 in earnest money deposit. But that's enough that you have an enforceable contract, because our contracts normally I see a lot of, from all the different coaches, I see a lot of contracts coming to us, and they're characterized by a couple of things. The first one is they have a long closing period. The second one is they have a right to market, and the third one is they can cancel anytime for any reason. With that said, without an EMD, your seller can do whatever he wants. He can ghost you, he can fuck you. You have nothing to do with that. So what you want to do is you want to have an enforceable contract with an earnest money deposit. And when you now go to a realtor, right, and call them, or better, broker, call them and say, hey, you know what? I'm Kendall Lejeune. I have a deal here in Dallas County, Texas, right? I'm a wholesaler, right? I know you don't like wholesaling, but I have already all the issues solved you have, right? Hey, with a title commitment, we can clear the property. The second one is we have an enforceable contract. We have an EMD that's paid to the title company or to the seller. Sometimes I just send the seller $50. How much the seller trusts you when he gets a $50, gets your check. It's like it after a couple of days when they get nervous and all, just send them $50. Hey, have a good time with your family. I didn't send it to the title company. Brilliant trick, pro trick. I love that. But what I want to say is you have a different standing. And another pro tip with this is when you are not good in talking to realtors, you maybe have realtor friends. With that could, on the other side, you could sit down with them on the table, explain them, this is my contract, this is my business model, because most of the realtors don't understand that. You can explain it to them and you can use them that they help you finding another broker. Because when an agent calls an agent, or better, a broker that calls another broker, you talk on a complete different level. This is how we leverage our realtor finding. Man, we were calling 80 to 100 people per county, and we do the whole United States, and we get deals everywhere from like New York to California and from Washington to Florida. It was a nightmare, but we have a broker installed in the middle that talks to the agents on the other side, right? And that's like the leverage. So that's a pro tip. When I would have $0, this is what I would do. Build a relationship and show them that you're a valuable business partner. Treat them well, right? The good thing about a realtor is it's a marketing and a salesperson in the same moment. This is how you want to treat them. Don't expect too much from them, right? The first 2 or 3 you will go through will be nuts. I promise you that, right? They will tell you everything. They will do nothing. But so when you roll it a little bit and you will find the right one, it's a process. And I think the second good thing when I have $0 is Facebook Marketplace, right? Facebook Marketplace is a good place to advertise. The only problem with Facebook Marketplace, it's like a big lottery. Facebook likes you, or they don't like you, right? And you're laughing, right? So we all went through the Facebook Marketplace jail. It's super hard to scale that. It's not a reliable marketing strategy, but when you have access and $0, use it. And when you have access and $0, and when your access is gone and you have $0, ask your friends if they list it for you and pay them a little bit or something like that. What comes with that is, and this is where I see people failing, make exceptional marketing material in this market. Just GIS data in the moment is not enough, right? Getting blah, blah, blah. People want to see footage. Spend that $300-400 on a drone pilot to get some real pictures, to film like the area around that property, how you enter the property, where the property is. Like the more real the pictures are, the better it is. And again, like when you have that $300-400, you can always do that when you think you should do that. But real footage elevates that. And the great thing is, when you post something on Facebook Marketplace, never use footage you use somewhere else. Less is more. Like we tested that, and it's a nightmare. And we always think we cracked the code, but I can tell you one thing for sure: when you use footage from somewhere else, they will find it, they will throw you out. This is what we found out. But so have different pictures there, and therefore you need a variety of pictures. And I would always do drone footage. Really good marketing material when you can, when you have editing skills, do a little video or whatever, or hire a VA for $40-50 to cut something nice. Because when you give that to a realtor, again, when you give the realtor exceptional marketing material, he will list it. Why don't they like what we do? Because they don't make money on that, right? When you start, you want to pay a realtor 12%, 10%, that he takes care, and do the math, right? Most of the people never think about the other side. They're just like, realtors are fucked up, right? You have a $50,000 deal. You're giving your realtor 6% on that, right? 6%, do we agree on that? It's like the average, what is out there, right? That's $3,000. So now he needs to split that $3,000 with the buyer's realtor, right? So that's $1,500. From that $1,500, he needs to pay maybe his broker for sure, let's say 30%, right? So that's maybe $1,000 he has left, and then maybe he needs to pay a transactional coordinator or whatever. So he makes 800, 900 bucks on that deal and needs to go somewhere in the middle of nowhere, like through a dirt road, like fucks up his car or whatever, right? So in minimum, like you want to give him like 10% on a deal like that, or even 12%. But that means on your end, you need to have a business model that gives you enough spread that you can offer him that. And this is what we see a lot, what doesn't happen. People don't even think about this. Does that make sense? But building this relationship with the realtor is super, super important, because what happens, I have a client, he's a fellow German land flipper. He built from Germany. It's totally, he has never met that people, right? He has done that over years, found out this people is doing business with them. They bring him deals now because he is for them a reliable business contact, right? He, just like we're discussing right now, I think one deal is in Colorado. It's like $125,000 purchase. He will sell it for $250,000. That came from that realtor. It was a seller's lead. They needed cash urgently. The guy set up with some money, man, and we helped him a little bit with that. But we bought that property outright because the realtor has been out there. He knows the area. He says we will sell it in 4 to 8 weeks, because for this type of property, they sell like in this time. It's recreational, right? The other deal is a $400,000 deal and it's worth $900,000. It's $400,000 purchase, right? A realtor brought that deal to that and to him. So that means he will make a $500,000 spread because he built that relationship. He didn't have a big budget when he started, but he spent the time. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So when you don't have money, spend your time with these people, right?
Yeah, that's really good. Robin, let me ask you just to clarify. So let's say someone is looking at, okay, I plan on structuring this deal as a double close. Are you saying that you are actually listing it with the realtor on the MLS as a double close, or are you closing on these properties first and then listing with the realtor?
Listen up, land fans. This is huge. We're bringing you the one and only Pace Morby, star of A&E's Triple Digit Flip and the mastermind behind $450 million in real estate deals. He's coming to our virtual meetup on Thursday, December 5th to share how he's applying his creative financing genius to land deals. Head to olfmeetup.com to save your spot today. That's olfmeetup.com. This is the kind of opportunity that changes everything.
Oh, no, we just listed as a double close on the MLS because this is what we shoot for. This is what we explain realtors, what you want to explain them, right? It's a business model, and that they understand the timeline of the deal too, right? Because let's be honest, you can't stretch out a contract for 6 months anymore, right? There are not so many sellers out there that buy that story, right? So at one point, you probably need to close. And that's like what the brokers don't like too. When you don't have an exit scenario with a struggling seller, they will not touch your deal. So this is why you want to have the backup strategy in case to buy that lot. You can still say, no, I don't do it. I just let the contract go. When you do that a couple of times and your realtor is working for nuts, he will just say at one point, like, I go, fuck you. Sorry, let's be honest about that, right? This is what you and me would do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good distinction, because I think that a lot of people, if they have not bought the property, then they find it difficult to find an agent that's willing to list it unless it's a flat fee MLS listing. But all of these points that you're talking about in terms of upping the commission 10 to 12%, building relationships with these realtors, and now I see that broker is who makes the decision. I've talked to a lot of realtors too. They're like, I would love to list it, but my broker won't allow me because they have some kind of rule. So that broker is super important to get in your back pocket when it comes to this strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you have a broker friend, activate him to find that broker for you in the area you do deals, and pay him a little bit of money and get him out for dinner, and treat his wife and him out for dinner, or her husband and her out for dinner. It doesn't matter. Just like we're in a relationship business, right? This is how you get deals. By the way, this is how we flipped a couple of hundred houses in Germany, how we build a machine in 2 years, like doing 250, 300 house flipping deals a year. We don't have direct mail. It's just about networking, creating value. We don't have data. We have nothing. It's just out of your network come that deals. So this is how we do deals over here. It's just about the relationship. My wife is asking me, here's this beautiful house down the street, right? She's asking me all the time, who is that house? Where can we find it out? I said, let me ask something. So I went to my barber, right? He's here for 35 years. I said, hey, who owns that house? Oh, wait, let me just ask my friend. So he wrote him a WhatsApp, and 15 minutes later, oh yeah, it's this and this Mallorquin family who owns that building for 50 years or 60 years. And it will never be on the market. Right. But what I want to tell you is you need to build relationships, right? This is what it is. You need to get out there, make yourself a name. And when you're not good at it, first of all, learn it. Second of all, get help from somebody who has authority in that industry.
Yeah, that is gold. That's really good. Robin, I want to shift gears a little bit. When we were preparing for this, you mentioned that it's very important to know when to say no to a deal. You mentioned a little bit earlier about a case study of some people think, oh, sell for 100, I can buy for 85, and that's a great deal. There's a $15,000 spread. You broke those numbers down on why that's not necessarily always the case. So how do you decide when to say no to a deal? And what is your goal in terms of this is the most that I can pay? Are you buying 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar? Where do you like to see in terms of the ceiling for your maximum allowable offer for these types of deals to make it worth it?
Reverse engineer the pricing. This is where you start, right? Like you need to be so confident in your areas. Like probably, I don't know let's say you make deals in Austin. You open that map in Austin. Oh, that subdivision is this and that subdivision is that. And this comes through experience. For example, I do a lot of deals in the Panhandle in Florida. They're like 8 counties. When I open the map, I can tell you what the property is worth, right? Once I see where the pin it is, I can tell it's through the experience, right? When you don't have that experience, you need, again, your realtor, somebody who knows the area. Probably you want to talk to 2, 3, 4 people, right? To get a feeling for that number. So when you're confident on your sale price, then you reverse engineer. You want to figure out like, what is the typical turnaround time in that area for that kind of deals? Okay, so let's say it's 180 days, right? I don't know, rural Alabama or whatever. So you have 180 days. Then you want to know, what do I pay for acquisitions? What is my number to get one contract? No, what is my number to get a deal? Because, hey, from 10 deals you get under contract, you will probably sell 5 or 6 in the beginning, right? Or maybe just 4, right? I started with much less than that, right? But meanwhile, even when you're really good, we get a lot of shitty contracts, right? And we just say, we cancel them because something is wrong with the property. We didn't see in the offer phase, like it's wetlands or whatever. Let's say, you need to know how much money do you spend to get a deal? And this is everything. Direct mail, cold calling, any kind of CRM system you're using, any kind of person you're paying, your due diligence guy, your comps guy, I don't know, due diligence portal, whatever. So you need to know what you spend on a deal. When you don't know today, just figure it out. It's pretty simple. Just look on the last 12 months. How many deals did you do? How much money did you spend? Divide it to 12, and then you will probably know that number. But you want to know your acquisition costs. You want to know the closing costs in that area too, right? Then you want to know, when I calculate closing costs, I always think I pay full for the seller and half with the buyer. This is literally, when you sell, especially with agents, you don't come around, right? You need to pay closing costs, right? You can't then negotiate, but it never happens. Let me say it, like it happens sometimes. But so then you have like from that $100,000 deal, okay, hey, I already spent like 5, like $2,500 closing costs, $2,500 acquisition costs to get a deal. Let's say like this, right? You need to pay your agent, or like 10%. Let's do it. It's $10,000. So $85,000, is that what's there? So then you need to spend some money on marketing. I can tell you, and we want to shift gears, right? What do we need to do to market? You need to do more than finding an agent, especially I think in September. We will see a lot of changing business models with the realtors when this NAR judgment kicks in, right? A lot of people right now flat out of the industry. There will come solutions, but they will not be there for 6, 12 months in the land space. They will come in the house space really fast, but in the land space, it will take some time. right? The specialized realtors who do ranches and all that shit, they will always be there, $1 million transactions, right? But like the small things we do, 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 30,000, whatever the deal is, it will take some time. So you will have a dispo budget you need to think. Let's say you need to spend $4,000 to sell a deal on separate like things. So now we have 81, right?
If you're enjoying this episode of the Only Land Fans podcast, please let us know by subscribing and leaving a review. Now let's get back to the action.
Then we want to pay a hard money lender. 180 days is the average turnaround time. 16%, you would say a year is accurate to pay a private money lender. You would say, what do you think? Yeah, I think 60% is good. So when it's $15,000, that means you pay him in a year, $8,000, right? And I would think in a year, what happens, right? Risk mitigation, you get a buyer, jumps off, due diligence time and all that. So it's $8,000 from where have we been? 81,000, you made notes, right? So it's 73,000. You want to make some profit? Net profit now, what is that? 10 grand, 13 grand? So you can buy it for 60, right? This is my buy price. So this is how we calculate.
Yeah, really good. Now, can you talk a little bit about how you're using AI in your business in terms of the dispo strategies and just how can you harness the power of AI in your land business?
Okay, so when you don't have a budget for dispositions under $3,000 to $5,000 a month, don't even think about that right now. You can use it for writing listing text and all that stuff, but this is where you can always use it. I wouldn't use it for image creation. It's too weak in the moment. Come on, let's turn that another way around. When I would have $1,000, right? We were with zero, like Facebook Marketplace and that. First thing I would do neighborhood marketing. We both know Alicia Jarrett, Buyers Finder is the coolest tool ever. Get that out on every property as soon as you can and as much people as you can. Because you can do something else with that data later, right? We talk about AI and that, but this is what you want to do. And I think when you have $1,000 a month, you want to have a small land.com subscription. It's still a really strong marketing channel, right? Or you want to get listing slots. But when you have that, here's the key to success with leads you buy. The most relevant KPI in land dispositions is call to lead. What is the time until you reach out to the lead the first time? And you want to be under 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, it's 83%. The chance goes down by 83% that you reach that person ever again. Up to 2 hours, that 17% left, right? It's like going down by another 80%. After 2 hours, it's like impossible. Interesting fact, we have that in our numbers, and I just heard an interview with the Zillow CEO 3, 4, 5 months. They have exactly the same numbers. It's 80%. This is like when you acquire Zillow, you get this agent connected directly. This is, they call you. And what you want to do when you have a land.com subscription, you want to have a call center in minimum that answers the calls when somebody is calling when you can't. That's a $60, $80, $100 purchase or something like this. This is the first step when you just have $1,000 a month for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, just to clarify, you're talking about when you post on land.com, someone calls into land.com because they see your listing. Yeah. You want to be able to either have a call center answer if you're not able to answer or call back within 15 minutes. Otherwise, you're just going.
So you need to be, when you're $1,000, you don't have money to hire people. Let's be honest, right? You can't organize that. It's not there. So what you want to do is you want to be aware. And when it makes ping, you paid for that lead. What is a land.com subscription? $400, $500 a month, a minimum, right? Hey, let's say you generate their 30 leads a month. That means it's $60 you spent in that moment for that lead. And when you don't answer that, 83% after 15 minutes, your $16 are gone. I don't know what you did the last time was $16 you had in your hand, when you just throw them out of the window, it's not a good idea. So
Right.
this is really something which you need to establish in yourself and in your culture. We need to call that lead as soon as we can. It's a relevant KPI for all of our sales reps. And we built a whole system around that because it's so necessary to hit that, because you burn all your marketing money. It's with neighborhood marketing the same. They're like a little bit more, but hey, when they don't hear from you, they just think, who are you? Does that make sense? Or worse, they know, oh, Mr. Grady wants to sell his property. Let me call him directly. And then you're in trouble. This is what you want to do. You really want to buy some leads, and they're doing neighborhood marketing, having call center helping you with that deals. At least do a little Calendly link where the call center can schedule a call with you or something like that, that it seems like you are a real company and not just by yourself starting out. Let's go next level, right? $3,000 a month, right? What I would personally do when I had $3,000, I would at that point invest in a CRM and in automations, because now it gets interesting. Now we go into automation and AI shit, right? What do I mean by that? The simplest automation I think you need, you buy all that leads. In the beginning, you collect all the data in a spreadsheet, and then you import that in a CRM. You start building your first buyers list, right? And now you organize an outreach on this buyers list through email marketing. And what comes with that is you want to start focusing in markets where you know they work, right? What I see is people, oh, today I do a deal in Alabama, tomorrow in North Carolina, in 3 weeks I find one in Washington. That's not a scalable business model, right? You want to find an area that you love and like and do deals there. So what you want to do is, at this point when it's $3,000 a month, decide for a good CRM, build some automations for the emails first, and then, and this is where I would start investing in AI, is get an AI developer on board that builds you a text outreach bot. Why do we start with text? It's the next question you asked me, right?
Yeah.
So we start with text messaging because it's a scalable thing. You can't do a voice outreach bot at 3 a.m. at night, right? You get an inquiry, it triggers, and it calls somebody at 3 a.m. at night, they will start yelling at you. We had that in our system. It happened, and it was like a nightmare. But text message, you can always send one, and people start engaging with you. And we have AI bots that just schedule a call in the end with you. This is where I would spend my money today, like really building a text outreach bot. Because when you train that bot by time, it's an easy switch to make a voice outreach bot out of that. So now you can be a crack in AI like Callan, our good friend, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're dumb like Robin Seib, right? You want to pay somebody, and you get this guy, $4,000, $1,500 a month. Build this outreach machines. The great thing is, don't use a VA. They are more reliable than VAs. You can train them. You get data and all of that. And now you have the first step, like into a real business, right? Because you have an outreach machine when people are inquiring, and you hit this 15 minutes. That's the highest leverage. It's like this KPI on your marketing budget. Because when you produce 1,000 leads, right, and 83% are just gone already, you want to work that you make more out of this 1,000 leads, right? This is the first money I would spend.
Yeah, that's really good. Robin, I want to ask you a really quick question. So the CRM that you're talking about in terms of managing your builders or your buyers list, what do you have recommendation on what type of CRM? What do you use that you like? I know really the answer is whatever works, right? Whatever you're going to use. But what kind of recommendations would you have for someone that's looking for a CRM to manage their buyers list?
I'm not really an expert in that. I would really say whatever works. I think that, so you always need to look in this. We have a lot of specialized CRM systems in the land space, right? I think everybody has something like Fusionsoft over this, over the Pebble, over whatever it is, right? Go high level based things. And it is really, I think the integration part of that is really important. Like when you talk about AI developments and integration, you want to have something which integrates with that on the dispo side. And I think probably right now, the most affordable ones, I don't even know, man. We use a mix out of Pipedrive for the disposition side, because I'm not a big fan of Go High Level in the moment, because Go High Level has one interesting thing not, and that's objects. We get really technical here, right? So when you define a deal in a CRM system world, a deal card that you move through a pipeline to make a sale has like a person. And this is what you do in Go High Level. You move that person with like set of attributes through a deal. That attributes are the property. But what happens when that person wants not to have that property anymore, another one? You need to manually enter that or create a new deal card. And what I love about Pipedrive, we have objects. Objects are like properties, right? So you inquire today for that property in Dallas, Texas, but you say, "Side, oh, Austin is much nicer." So tomorrow on the call with the sales rep, we just change you to the Austin property we have in inventory. This is what I like about Pipedrive. I know Go High Level will bring that in the second half of this year, right? They have that on their roadmap. And so we have a lot of other systems on that side. That's just what we use. What I personally would do, I would talk with your AI developer you're hiring. What do you see? Where can we integrate to? Because you don't really care, right? And the second thing I have as a recommendation, at one point in your business, you want to start hiring salespeople. I wouldn't do that too early. I would build systems that you are the salesperson for as long as you can be. Why? And then I said, oh, I don't want to talk to buyer sellers. Hey, when you have a good system, AI-based, or VA-based or call center-based that pre-qualifies the leads, get out all the tire kickers and all that, you as a CEO will always be the strongest salesperson in the company. My quotes are much better than from every salesperson. Why? I can make ultimate decisions on the phone if I want to take that deal and define all the parameters of the transaction. And when you give that to a sales rep and you give them 2 free boundaries, you get catastrophe deals. And when they have narrow boundaries, like you are more involved. Does that make sense? So You want to build systems that you funnel really good leads to you, that you close them on the phone in the beginning, because it's not that much. Let's be honest, right? When you do 2 or 3 transactions a month, let's say you need 40 leads. 50 leads produced. A lead is for me a phone number and interested in the property and an email address and a name. That's a lead for me, right? When you need 50 of them with a good outreach machine, that's 150 people a month you need to pre-qualify. Let's say your systems qualify 15 of them. Then it's probably 15, 20 conversations you have a month. That's probably doable. Even 50 conversations would be doable. 60 conversations a month to sell the property. Does that make sense?
Totally. Now, you talked about systems. Can you talk a little bit about what are the dispo processes that you go through when you've got the property under contract? What's the next step? What's the step after that? What's the step after that? I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty robust at this point, but what are those big anchor points that you would suggest that are very important in having a dispo process?
Yeah. First thing is you want to start your due diligence with all the things what we said in the first. Due diligence means for me, we do an online research. We have 2 people hitting the property, the drone pilot and the local realtor. Just that's even not a chance that everything gets on, right? You never know. The drone pilot flies over the property. The realtor just probably passes by, never leaves the car, never sees something in the property. But you want to have 2 people with feet on the ground. You want to clear the title. You want to have really everything clear about the property. You want to have your contract in place, right? And when we have all of that checked, then we give it to the marketing team. We order drone footage in that moment we receive that, because drone footage needs 2-3 weeks to get done. You need to have that drone pilot. He needs to have time. The weather needs to be good. There needs to be no storm and all of that. Creating marketing material after you did that. And we always launch a first listing as soon as we can with stock images and GIS data, just to get it out in the market to test it, right? Until we have the real footage. Then we exchange that by time. Finding the realtor in that moment where you start preparing the marketing, right? When you don't have one, you need to start finding them then. And then list it. And this is then, I talked about land.com. I talked about neighborhood marketing and Facebook Marketplace. This is like the high leverage shit in the beginning, then building this buyers list. Send an email to your buyers list, right? That you built, no matter if it's 3 names, 5 names, 10 names, 15 names, right? Try to, and this is interesting now, when you have AI on board and have a little bit more budget, try to research the buyers in that area. Depends on the lot, right? AI gives you the opportunity to filter buyers in that area, cash buyers, builders, people who bought in that area properties before, specific property, right? Because sometimes it's you have 100 acres. They're just like, let's say 100 acre properties in that area. You want to know that guy that bought 3 of them in the past 4 years, right? AI can make that happen and filter that data, right? And when you're in your areas, you also want to, when you have a little bit more budget now, let's say $5,000, you want to start with warm audience, Facebook advertising, Google advertising, right? All that data you have, we start doing ads to them. And it's cheap. It's not like cold outreach. You know that people already. So Facebook supports that. It makes it cheap for you. So from there, we move it in there. We have then all of these bots, like talking with them, qualifying them. And the bots, they have 2 reasons, right? And we still have real people doing that too, because you need to work with these bots. They take a little bit until they're good, right? And then there's a software update, and then you need to retrain them or something like that. All of that shit happens, right? But you want to have good sales reps, which is you in the beginning. When you have a good sales rep, you want to schedule calls for them. You want to keep them busy. Or what I love is when you have sales reps and realtors working together, right? Or even like we program right now to have the bots involving the realtor, because the realtor love, hey, here's Kendall Lejeune, let me do a warm transfer to that guy. Yeah, wait, I transfer you to Robin, he's our local agent, and they try to reach Robin and connect that call. Really, how you close it doesn't matter, but utilize your realtor too. You're so much more legit towards your buyer when you have a realtor involved. He can go there, show the property. He sends like the real agreement, not like the sale agreement, right? Like, and all that shit. And then from there, we funnel it in transactional coordination. That's for me an absolute pro tip, is hire a transactional coordinator. Because that shit, when you do a couple of transactions a month, it takes so much time from you. It's the most important part. And it takes so much time for you. You want to budget that in your costs too, right? And man, so use that data you have to do organize a lot of direct outreach to the people, cold email. That can be even cold calls you need to do that. You can't do that, but with AI, don't do that, compliance and all that. But there are other people who can do that. You want to probably have people calling in that area. Hey, we have the property. Would you be interested in all that? And when you then have like really deal flow and you have 8, 9, 10 grand a month, go into SEO and paid advertising. That then leverages all your systems, because now you have a system that can do leads and more leads and handle leads, right? Because the most people produce more leads first, but don't have a system to handle all that leads. You produce 100 leads a month, but we learned 83%, 15 minutes, you just lose them. Right? When you get that 83 leads leveraged already through your systems, now you supercharge with paid advertising, and long-term in that areas where you're good with search engine optimization. That's like the supercharge, because as soon as you have your areas and like your search engine optimization going, which is a 3, 6, 9, 12 months process to really get it running, but then you run sales and autopilot in your areas. Because the buyers come to you. You're the number one when they Google land in that area. And you can use that for acquisitions and dispositions, right? And this is, I think, how you build step by step yourself up. You start with a good realtor, and then with the buyers list, AI development, outreach bot, work on that 115 minutes KPI, and then just funnel more traffic after that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's really clear. Very cool. You mentioned that in that process you try to get it out as quickly as possible, that property. Can you make the distinction between that and the actual listing? So
it's a listing. It's a listing. We do a listing 1 and a listing 2. This is how we call that internally. The listing 1 is like that one we put immediately in the market. It's like a framework of, hey, this is what we will show in the end when we have real footage, and we replace that by stock or by GIS data or whatever. And then in the end, we have a framework for the drone pilot. This is the shots we want to have. This is like the video material we want to have. And we just replace that one by one in the end when we have it. But coming back to that in the beginning with our hard money lenders, you probably maybe want to build a business strategy to close in 30, 45 days, 60 days with them, to have an advantage to your competitors. You want to know in that time, is it a valuable listing or not? So you want to get it out as soon as possible. This is where you always want to shoot for. Done is better than perfect, right? You know that you're a coach, like analysis paralysis is like the biggest problem in this whole industry for people who start new, right?
Yeah.
Hey, just get shit done. Get it done is better than perfect. Just get it out of the door, right? When I would like always doing everything perfect, we would have nothing done, right? Don't worry about it. Just get it out there.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. Now, in this process, you talked a little bit about KPIs earlier. Can you also talk about what are some other KPIs outside of the call to lead that you track in your dispo processes that are important to your specific system?
Yeah, like the 15 minutes is the most important one, right? The second one is, of course, you want to know how much leads do I need to produce to make a sale, right? And you need to define for that, what is a lead? I already decided what it is for us. For us, a lead is a phone number, a specific interest in a property, a name, and an email address. That's a lead for us. And you want to know how much of these leads do I need to produce to get a sale, right? There's a lot of other stuff you need to track. What are your expenses on dispositions? How much do I need to spend to sell a deal? We track that, right? Like how much marketing, like we do a lot of paid advertising too, right? Like land.com is paid advertising. We have a relatively high subscription, right? Like it's a lot of money every month, like going through that account. And like you want to know, like when they bring you 400 leads a month, you want to know, like when you pay $10,000, probably it's $25 a lead, right?
Right.
So you want to break that down and you want to see, okay, what's land.com performing towards, I don't know, we do Google ads, right? And you spend $2,000 and you maybe make 100 leads, it's $20 per lead, right? But then you also want to know, like, how much of this do we close? How much of this do we close? So you want to compare your marketing channels and see what works best for you. We track down what comes out of each marketing channel and like how much did we spend on that marketing channel to really track, okay, how do we find a buyer? We also track like how long do we move a deal from A to Z, right? From A, we receive that lead, to Z, we close the property, right? And then we have a second KPI for the marketing channels. It's like the we call it the email marketing funnel. Like people just come, everybody like getting in touch with us ends in our email lists. Like everybody, they're there, right? And we send them emails. And interesting thing is people will stick 6 months on this list and buy them. The buyers from that list are in average 6 months on that list. And we track from which channels did they come, because this is like this customer lifetime value, right? So you want to know how much money do you spend and what's most successful. And then you want to iterate that and build that out and see that there's a lot of other KPIs you can track. There's so much shit, like how much average is, like, of course, what's your average sale time? I think that's the most stupid KPI ever. Like people always ask me, days in market. I don't know. Like sometimes you think you sell that like tomorrow and you have it for 12 months. Sometimes you think you have it for 12 months and sell it tomorrow. Everything, all of that. It happened to you, happened to me, right? I think that's the most stupidest KPI to track. But I would, in the beginning, like really look on that 15 minutes that you hit that. How much leads do you need to sell? And then see, where do you spend your money to generate that leads? This is like the first three I would focus on to see, like, where do I spend my money and what is my success out of that? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. What I love so much about this is there's a lot of talk in the land industry about doing this exact process that you're talking about on the acquisition side. And very rarely do I hear anyone talk about doing that level of budgeting and creating funnels and all of this stuff on the dispo side. So I'm geeking out about this. I absolutely love this. You mentioned supercharged offers. Alicia Jarrett, our good friend, and Buyers Finder. Can you talk a little bit about how you use that in your particular business and use it for your dispo strategies?
Yeah, neighborhood marketing is an essential part. they have just like an easy access to data, right? Like it's like how does she call it? 6 clicks, 6 seconds or something like that. You type in an APN, it pulls it, you pay, and it sends your neighborhood marketing into your cash buyers, and you can even bring it down like to what neighbors and all that. And it's just pretty simple to use. We of course use our own mailing strategies behind that, and we do much more. We pull the data, and when you have a certain level of doing that, we take that data, we build lookalike audiences in Facebook and do warm advertising on them in that area, and like banner ads to specific people. And we have lists of realtors in that areas and display ads to them too, right? That's then, I think, the highest level bullshit we're talking about. Well, we just see, even with all the magic we're doing, it's slower. And this is what you need to be prepared for. And we see a lot of people coming to us, and we do dispositions as a service, as a last resort. You as the land flipper, you as the entrepreneur, and the responsibility to react to markets. And there is no shortcut to something, right? I had a conversation the other day, and I always say the same thing, right? I can't promise you to get rich here in your first year, but everybody who I know is longer than 4 years in this industry makes a lot of money. Does that make sense? Now, it's about the consistency and like how they adjust strategies and do that. This is where you really need to be prepared for, like, how do you adjust your strategies to that, what the market is? And that's every business. We have a lot of friends. We're in a similar mastermind. When you look at the people, everybody's consistently adjusting. That's a good entrepreneur. And this is what you need to be. You need to become like a solution bringer, like problem solution. How do I solve that? Like tongue. And it's what you need to do every day. And then you will be successful in that business.
That's right. In business, you either adapt or you die. I see so many people that are like, hey, the thing that I was doing isn't working anymore. I guess this just doesn't work. The whole industry is bust. I'm gone. I'm done. We see so many people do that instead of trying to embrace the fact that there will be change and you have to adjust to the change. It doesn't mean that what you did was wrong in the past. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. But what it means is, hey, the market is telling you, you can't do the same thing. This thing that you're doing is not working. So make something different, make something happen.
The only thing we know what is sure is that things will change, right? Has always been like this and will always be like this. And in Germany, we have a saying, right? If you don't go with the time, you go with the time, right? Or by time, right? This is what it is. And
yeah,
this is what you need to do. You just need to be there and fit and talk with people like you and me and connect with other people, like what's working, what's not working, right? And use platforms like Only Land Fans or whatever, the Land Pilot, just like to see what's out there, connect with these people. It's again, relationship building. And the fascinating thing, and this is what I love about you, is you build this community, and the land community is insane. It's the closest community I've ever seen. Like when you ask for help to somebody, you will get it, right? So just start networking, go out there and talk with the people, right?
That's it. I love that. Now, you mentioned Land Pilot. Tell us a little bit about what is this platform? How can we use it? What is it?
Like what happened to me is through that, nobody's doing dispositions. You just like confirmed that. And a lot of people came to me like, it started 2 years ago. Hey, can you sell my deals for me and all that? And I started that, and I did so many JV agreements, and I hated it because you always start counting numbers and, hey, what is an expense? What's really profit and all that? And I said, let's professionalize that. And the Land Pilot today is a platform where people can do everything to run the dispositions on their business. First of all, we have a disposition service, right? It's like you can come with your contract, you can come with the property you own, and then you can forget about it. You are hands off, and we do everything until it's closed, right? All that stuff we talked about, we do it for you, right? That's like the heart of the Land Pilot is really this process. The second thing is I give our customers my network of private money lenders for free. The Land Pilot is the basis is like for free. You can just listen, you have a deal, you need hard money, you want to sell notes, you want to do something, equity, you need transactional funding. you will get it there. You can, I will bring it in front of my audience. And of course, we look with our own land fund on these projects too. Hey, do we like it? Do we have the funds? Do we want to? Okay, we do it. Come on, we have the paperwork prepared. We buy it. This is our offer for that, right? It's like a leverage. I have like around 200 private money lenders I'm working with, right? What I built up, I raised $12 million in capital in land over the past 2 years, right? And you will be in front of that audience. That's what you get. We do developments as a service, right? I don't know. I had this guy coming to me. It was a deal in North Carolina, 200 acres. He was working a year on the deal to get it entitled and all of that. And he just was loathing the deal already, hard money. And so we just made a due diligence on the deal, structured that deal for him, are executing it right now. It's super complicated with 26 easements for sewer, with 20 through neighbor properties and all that. We do that as a service. We do subdivides as a service. So it's, hey, what we really offer is you do the acquisitions part where you're really good at, and we suck, but we are really good at dispositions. Everything you need to run your business, you can do here on the Land Pilot. And we run a weekly call too, right? It's always on Thursdays. It's always on 6 p.m. I have an awesome setup of people, right? We have Kellen Faulkner on board, Elisa Jarrett, Jensen Young. It's just me and the girls, right? Which I love. And when we talk about all these things today, we talk about business building. We talk about private money. How can you use it to grow your business, right? Jensen Young is exceptional in that. Everything I know to raise $12 million in 2 years, I know from her. And she will help you doing that. She has a network of people behind her too, right? And Alicia Jarrett is also good. And we will give you a lot of the AI tools we work with. Like we have like almost done a due diligence spot, hit a button, right? Put an APN number and the state, and you get a full due diligence report, right? We will launch a marketing bot this year. So the Land Pile will give you like just another marketing channel and also the experience. We do it for you. You don't need to deal with the shit, right? Hey, just let it go. We have a price structure in there, right? You can read that down, calculate your deals, and then just make more deals. This is what we do, right? And we have people who started their journey. We have like people who do, our biggest customer does 120 deals a year. And he just like doesn't want to deal with dispositions anymore. So we have everything in between that. And this is what we do here on the Land Pilot. It's like a big disposition universe, right? Where you can just plug in and let your deal sell and concentrate on getting more deals on the contract. This is like the philosophy, right? That you really build, we call it discovered true freedom, because we all started here was to achieve freedom somehow, right? To get another sphere in life. And most of the people treat their business not like a business. They treat it like another job. And I think the Land Pilot is really autopilot. Is that what it is? This is how we call that. Just sit in your plane, fly, and get in your vacation, and we take care of selling your properties.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like a fantastic service. The people that you just mentioned, those are absolute rock stars in the land space. And so sounds super valuable. Can you talk a little bit about what the structure looks like? Are you guys doing this on the equity, like getting equity out of the deal after it closes? Is there upfront costs? What does it look like if someone says, hey, I have a contract, I need to sell it?
It's a mix of both. It's a little upfront fee, right? We have hard costs for the title commitments and for the drone footage. I told you we do drone footage on every property. So it's a mix around that. Just imagine it's around $600 per property.
Okay.
But we do all the work that you don't need to do then. And the great thing is about that, the next time we get paid is when we close that property.
That's
right.
fantastic.
So in that moment where I take that deal, I sit with you in the same boat. I want to sell that shit. And we work on a commission base, right? And I always think about what would you sell, what would you pay a realtor, right? Which is anything probably between 6 and 10%. Smaller the deal, the more percentage, right? Same with us. Just double that what you would pay to the realtor. Then you get a feeling. And we pay the realtor out of that, what we get, right? Deals up to 60,000 is 20%, right? 10% go to the realtor, 10% go to us, right? 60 to 100 is 18, and then 100 to 250 is 15%, and over 250 is 12%. So it's like double that amount you pay to the realtor. And it's really easy for you to calculate then, what does my disposition process cost, right?
Yeah, that is fantastic. So if someone wants to get involved, landpilot.com is the best place for them to go to.
Landpilot.com is the best place to go to. Reach out to me on Facebook. We have a Facebook group too. Reach out to me, and Facebook is always the best place to reach me, right? And get in place. Or just Robin S at onlinelandmarket.com. Write me an email or ask Kendall, and maybe you can hang out with us in Austin then the next time when I'll be around, right? And eat some tacos and hamburgers and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely. And you'll be at Ajay's event, I saw in September. Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be in Dallas too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that call it date with the family mastermind? I didn't check that. No, it doesn't, right?
No, it doesn't. I think it's
okay, good. Thank you for confirming that.
It's the very next day. It's the very next day for families.
Okay,
it's gonna be a jam-packed week.
I was a little bit worried, right? Like I was a little bit worried about that. Okay, yeah.
Awesome. Robin, thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time. This has been really cool. I got a ton of nuggets. I'll be watching the replay for sure, probably more than once to dig out some of these gold nuggets. Thank you, everyone. This has been absolutely just eye-opening. Robin, thank you for sharing this. This has been really cool, super valuable. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And look for the replay. We'll be dropping this as a podcast episode on both the YouTube channel as well as an audio podcast. So thank you again. Until then, we'll see you in the next time. It will be 1 week from today. We'll have another fantastic presentation and interview for you with another land rock star. So thank you so much for joining us, Robin. This has been absolutely incredible and really looking forward to seeing you soon. So take care, everyone. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you're interested in hearing from other seven-figure land flippers about how they've started and run their businesses, then join us at onlylandfans.com. Looking forward to seeing you there.